Picture this. It's 5:04 a.m. The city is asleep. Streetlights blink like tired eyes. In a small apartment, a phone alarm cuts through the dark. A hand reaches out not to snooze, but to stop it. Shoes on, door open, cold air in the lungs. No applause, no likes, no audience. Just a person who said last night, "I'll run at 5," and then actually did. That right there is the most dangerous thing you can put into the world. A human being who treats their word like law, not to impress anyone, not to post it later, not for a medal, simply because they promised themselves, and then they kept it. Tell me, what does the world do with someone like that? Someone who follows through after the mood is gone. Someone who cannot be bought by convenience. Someone who quietly becomes unstoppable. We're told the world bends for the loud, the charming, the naturally gifted. Yet the world always makes room for the person who does exactly what they said. They DD the person whose consistency outlasts excitement, whose habits outlive hype. Why does this simple habit unsettle people? Why is integrity, real, private, unphotographed integrity, so threatening? Why does a steady promise feel like a rebellion in a culture addicted to announcements? Here's the con you were sold. You were trained to chase motivation like fuel. Hit the playlist, watch the montage, wait for lightning. And yet motivation is weather. Hopeful when it's sunny and useless in a storm. While keeping promises to yourself is climate, the environment you live in. Not a feeling, not a vibe, a contract. Most people treat their promises like coupons. Nice to have, easy to toss. Then they wonder why the mirror doesn't respect them. Because when you break your word to yourself, your mind learns one lesson. We done to mean it? And once your mind believes that, it will quietly sabotage every plan you make. Gently, politely, forever. Motivation spikes while self-trust compounds. One is a sparkler you wave for seconds. The other is a power plant that lights your life. There are two kinds of people walking into any challenge. The first tries to force the result with sheer, while arguing with themselves at every choice. Them versus the donut. Them versus the couch. Them versus the mood. While the second barely fights because they already decided who they are. They don't go to the gym, they are an athlete. They don't write when it's convenient. They are a writer. Identity creates gravity, and actions fall into place. Keeping promises to yourself, just how identity hardens each promise kept, is a vote. Each vote is a brick enough bricks, and you become the house. And confidence, the thing everyone wants to feel before they act, is actually the receipt you collect after keeping the small promises no one saw. Imagine your self-trust as a bank account. Every kept promise is a deposit. Every broken one is a withdrawal. And here's the twist. Withdrawals compound faster. You tell yourself, "I'll start Monday," and don't. That's not neutral. That's negative interest. Your brain records we lie here. Tomorrow's plan becomes noise. Next month's goal turns into decoration. The account bleeds. But it also works the other way. Keep tiny promises, insultingly small, almost silly, and deposits stack. 10 push-ups, 1 page of writing, 15 minutes undistracted. Not glamorous, not post-worthy. But now your mind has evidence. We say, we do. The interest flips and the snowball rolls. Big lives are built on small promises kept with violent consistency. Keep a promise and 3 invisible gears engage. First, predictability replaces drama because life becomes math. If I say it, it happens. The soap opera of missed alarms and guilty nights loses airtime. Second, discipline, it's cheaper. Because every choice I send to a debate, and your word makes the decision before your feelings vote. Third, freedom expands, because when you are reliable to you, you are less negotiable to everything else. Trends, moods, peer pressure. And you stop renting your life to convenience and start owning it. This is why people who keep promises to themselves scare systems built on distraction. They can't be herded by novelty. They don't chase the next thing. They build the one thing. Keeping your word isn't one decision. It's 3 recurring battles that cycle daily. The start where delay whispers later equals better. The middle where boredom mutters, this isn't working, and the end where almost there tempts you with close enough. Beat the start with a 2-minute rule. Reduce every new promise to an entry point you could do half asleep. 2 minutes of reading, 2 minutes of writing, 2 minutes of movement. Because once you start, inertia will carry you. Beat the middle with visible progress. Track with ink on a wall, or a cheap calendar, or a simple app. Make streaks sacred. Because if progress isn't visible, your brain forgets it exists. Beat the end with finish lines. Define done before you begin. Workout is vague, while 45 minutes of lifting plus 10,000 steps is a finish line. Vague promises are easy to break. Specific ones corner you into completion. Now craft the non-negotiables that harden private integrity time blocking with teeth, where you schedule the promise and add consequences and rewards. Miss the writing block, and you owe a friend $20 hits 7 days, and you buy the hardcover you've wanted. Behavioral economics beats vibes. Guard a single sacred hour each day. Your deep hour. Same time, phone exiled, notifications off. One promise that moves your life. No emails and no errands. 1 hour that, if protected like surgery, will quietly and ruthlessly change everything. Run an evening audit on paper. 3 questions only. What promise did I keep today? Where did I break my word? And why? What's tomorrow's non-negotiable? No shame, just data. The audit is not a courtroom. It's a lab. And pick the friend you fear. Disappointing, not a cheerleader, but a mirror, someone who asks, did you do what you said? You're not outsourcing discipline, you're removing secrecy. Because hidden promises are easy to bury, while shared promises are hard to escape. Let's not romanticize this path. You'll become allergic to your own excuses. And that's uncomfortable. The stories that protected your comfort will wither. People who love your old patterns may resist your new boundaries. You won't be as available for every distraction, and that irritates the distracted. The honeymoon with new will end, because excellence is repetition you do not escape. But the cost of not becoming this person is heavier. You'll keep negotiating with the future. Like it owes you interest for plans you never fund. You'll drown in almost. You'll get very good at explaining why you didn't. And explanations are a poor substitute for outcomes. Here's the paradox. The moment you stop waiting for permission, you start earning respect, not always praise, not always applause, but respect people can feel when your word is steel client sense. It teens rally to it partners. Trusted opportunities find it not because you're loud, but because you're reliable. Power likes predictability, and the world will stack weight on shoulders that never shrug. You don't chase credibility, you accumulate it, one kept promise at a time. If you want a simple build, try a 30-day protocol that shifts identity more than goals. Week 1 is proof of life with micro promises only. Pick one domain, healthcraft or learning. Make one daily promise that takes 5 minutes or less. Track it on a visible 7-day grid. Finish before 10 a.m. So momentum is early and guilt is avoided. Aim for 7 green checks and nothing else. Week 2 is the double stack. Keep the micro promise and add a second promise of 10 to 20 minutes. Introduce a small consequence for misses. Share both promises with your accountability mirror on Monday, so secrecy can't grow. Week 3 is when deep hour begins. Same time every day, protected like surgery, no reschedules. If it moves, it doubles tomorrow. Keep the first 2 promises, but let your identity orbit that hour. Week 4 is the public marker. Ship something visible. A blog post, a 5-kilometer time, a portfolio page, a cleaned deadline, a room completely organized. Not perfect, simply proven. A signal to yourself that we deliver, and by the end you won't feel motivated, you'll feel something better inevitable. Watch for common traps and walk around them. Starting 5 promises at once when you haven't earned the right to add. All or nothing thinking that kills streaks. Vague record keeping that hides progress. Identity borrowing where you wear a crown you haven't earned. So instead, add 1 promise only after 7 clean days. Use a minimum viable win when life squeezes you. Track with paper over pixels because visibility beats features. Practice first and label later because labels are heavy. When you're ready, craft promises with asymmetry and uneven upside. Skill promises where 20 minutes at the edge of ability compounds competence. Network promises with one generous outreach weekly and no ask to build a trust bank. Wealth promises with boring automatic transfers before spending to buy future freedom you cannot negotiate against. Health promises with a non-negotiable sleep window, because everything is easier when you're not exhausted. You will break a promise because you're human, so use a 4-step re-entry own it fast and say, I broke the promise with no drama run in autopsy, not a eulogy, and fix the trigger or the time or the environment instead of attacking yourself. Pay the pre-agreed toll, so there's a small sting and a memory. Then re-enter at the smallest version today, rather than waiting for Monday, because momentum hates gaps. Breaking a promise isn't fatal, ignoring it is. Everyone wants the visible flex, the car, the trips, the body, the plaque, but the quiet flex that builds all of those is simple. When you say you'll do it, you do it. No fanfare, no debate, no escape, and you become the person your future can rely on, which is the rarest form of power. So here's the call. Pick one promise you'll keep for the next 7 days. Small, clear, timed, write it down, tell someone, put it in your calendar with teeth, and then keep it even when your mood leaves the room. Watch what happens to your posture, and your tone, and your choices, and your life. And if this hits you like a mirror, you couldn't avoid, share it with the one person who's tired of being almost. Then drop a comment with the single promise you'll be making this week, and the exact time you'll do it. Not aspirations, appointments. In a world addicted to announcements, the most radical act is delivery. Say it, do it, become it. Stay consistent, stay inevitable, stay unstoppable.